Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 12 of the Literally Me podcast, the most literally you podcast on the market. My name is Dino, and I'm joined by young Gosling himself, my friend Tristan. Tristan, we back.
We back a long time. We spoiled ourselves from doing the last two, I think, with just like a couple days in between. But
Yeah,
this one we took a bit of a hiatus, about 2 weeks or so.
2 weeks. Yeah, I was on vacation,
Hmm.
but I got back. Still managed to watch a decent amount of movies. I think
Yeah,
so. So we have a bunch of things to talk about.
that's right. But what's the big movie that we're watching that we're going to be talking about today?
Well, this week's movie is First Cow, directed by Kelly Reichardt, came out in 20, let me check.
I
Was it
believe
20?
2019 or 2020.
I think 2019. I'm gonna check just in case. It's 2019.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the movie we're gonna talk about. But before we talk about that movie, what have you been watching the last couple, like 2 weeks?
Yeah, man, I know you've seen me on Letterboxd because we've talked about it a couple times. I've been on an absolute just tear, just watching
Mhm.
so much stuff. Um, I recently kind of got really into documentaries as of
Mhm.
late.
So I've
Um,
heard.
Yes, and I've seen some fantastic, fantastic stuff. That was kind of born after me sort of getting into the Duplass brothers as well. And I noticed their films are they have that documentary feel almost because it's all
Definitely.
improvised, which I
Hmm.
love seeing in a film. So I was like, let me check out some documentaries, the ultimate improvised, you know, medium or form.
Hmm.
Um, and through that, I checked out some iconic ones, one of which by I believe he's German, one of the all-time German goats, Werner Herzog. Is he German or Austrian?
I think he's German. Yeah,
Okay. I checked out
I'm
his
pretty sure.
documentary
Mhm.
Grizzly Man,
I've
which
heard about that.
have you seen it?
I haven't, but I've been meaning to watch it because I've been meaning to watch more Werner Herzog films, and that was one that is high on the list.
It's yeah, I think okay, yeah, he is German. He is
Okay.
from Munich.
Oh.
Um and I think Grizzly Man is supposed to be considered like one of the all-time great sort of documentaries.
Hmm.
And I will say it is one of the most interesting things that I have come across. Um, it is very funny, but also if you look at it through the right lens, and it really could be like the funniest movie you will ever see in your entire life. Like it
Hmm.
actually is like laugh out loud funny, but there's just something so like sad about the guy, but also super, super interesting. For those who don't know, it's about this guy who spends 13 summers in a row going to like the wilderness of Alaska to live among bears, grizzly bears. Um, and he does this for 13 consecutive summers. And all the footage is footage that he took himself. So this has all been done like like in retrospect after the fact. And Herzog kind of has pieced together all this interesting footage of this guy. Um, and it's cool. It's cool because you see the guy has a real soft, like human sort of opinion of like animals and wildlife, but Werner Herzog has a very matter of fact, these are wild animals sort of
Hmm.
viewpoint. So it's kind of cool to see both sides of it. But that was a really interesting documentary for sure that that I definitely recommend checking out, especially if you've heard about it a bit or done some research on it.
Where did you watch it?
I watched it
Like
on Tubi.
streaming?
I watched
Okay.
it on which I'm. This is a whole secondary thing I'm going to talk about. I'm about done with Tubi because these
The
ads
ads?
are so
Hmm.
long, and when watching a movie, it really disrupts like the flows of certain movies. Where I'm like, I think it. This has actually made me like the movie less because it's taking me out at the worst times, making me sit there for like 2.5, 3 minutes, and then bringing me back. Like it's just I don't know. TV did a much better job of handling commercials than Tubi does.
Yep. And especially like if you stream a movie, you don't want ads. So like it's
Exactly.
regressing.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. But yeah, I watched a whole bunch of documentaries, one of which I'm not going to talk about because I actually added it to my
Did you?
list.
I know
So
which
maybe,
one you're talking about.
yeah, so maybe one day we'll get into that one that I really, really loved, and I've seen it 2.5 times already. I ran it back twice in a row and then put it on a third time with the commentary. Um,
Hell yeah.
However, there are two more that I want to mention that are very highly
Mhm.
regarded that I thought were fantastic, 5 out of 5 stars. The first being The Thin Blue Line. Are you familiar with this doc?
I haven't watched it, but I am familiar with it. And I
Okay.
thought this is the one you added to the list.
Oh, it's not, but I might add this one as well. The other one I'll
Mhm.
just mention it. The other one is a film called Grey Gardens, um,
I
which
don't know that
is
one.
which is I don't know if we talked about it. Maybe I guess we talked about on Instagram Thin Blue Line maybe.
Mhm.
But I thought I had mentioned Grey Gardens. Anyway,
Oh, you
uh
did. Yeah, I remember.
it's
I
the one
remember.
about Jacqueline Kennedy's like her aunt and cousin like live in this like dilapidated old mansion in Long Island, New York.
Mhm.
But Thin Blue Line, which again I might also have to add, so I don't want to talk about it too much, is
Mhm.
truly one of the best documentaries I have ever seen. And it's not necessarily because of the subject matter, because the subject matter is like anything else you'd see. Someone who maybe there wasn't enough evidence, but they were still convicted, and you kind of look at it sort of a little weird, but it's the way that they tell the story of Thin Blue Line, like the way that they construct this documentary is really,
Mhm.
really amazing. Um, Through reenactments, and I could be pulling this out of thin air and making it up, but I think this was one of the first documentaries to really implement reenactments in it.
Mhm.
Like when you see them reenact it, and they do it through different viewpoints and point of views, and it's really really neat. And another one that I think is highly regarded, even more so than Grizzly Man, as one of the all time like must watch documentaries.
Mhm.
Um,
I've
but
heard a
yeah,
lot of great things about it.
yeah,
Like just people talking about it and just you verifying that it really is that good just makes me more excited to check it
it's
out.
it's super cool. It's definitely worth a watch, regardless of whether or not we do it for the pod. Um, or not. And then one more that I'll mention real briefly is one called The Jinx, which
Mhm.
I'm way late to. This was on HBO, and it's a series. It's like four or maybe it's 6 episodes, 6 parts, like 40
Mhm.
minutes each. Have you heard of The Jinx?
I haven't.
It became, at least over here in the States, it became like a real pop culture sort of phenomenon in
Mhm.
like 2015, 2016 when it came out. And it has the most wild ending to any doc I have ever, ever seen. This needs to be at the top of your list because you will love this. I don't know if you like true crime kind of shit or watching series like that.
I do. I love true
Okay,
crime.
I think you'll like it. I think if your lady likes that kind of stuff, I think she'll like it as
Mhm.
well. I think you guys will have a good time watching it together because it's really unbelievable. Like this guy, it's about Robert Durst, which our boy, our literal boy, Ryan Gosling plays him in a movie called All Good Things. Do you know that movie?
I don't.
It's him and Kirsten Dunst. It came out in 2010, and he plays
Mhm.
this guy, Robert Durst, who his wife went missing in like the late 80s sometime. And
Mhm.
everyone was convinced it was him, but there was never any evidence or anything like that to ever convict him. So he's
Mhm.
been living free, and he's a billionaire. His father is the like kind of like the founder of like one of the they're like one of the big like property owner like property owning families in New York. They own pretty much like all the major skyscrapers. I think they own like the New World Trade Center. Like they own all that. They're
Mhm.
they got cash. Um, but it is unbelievable. And the documentary is directed by the guy who directed All Good Things like 5 years prior. Robert Durst saw that movie and said, I'm interested in talking about it further with you. And you see that because he does this, he's revealing new stuff out. And all this new stuff is coming out, and his attorneys are even saying, like, why are you doing this? Like, nothing good could come of this. But yet he does it, and it's almost like he wants to be discovered. But over the course of these 6 episodes, you just get pulled in. And this guy, he's kind of likable in a weird way, but he's got
Mhm.
these like devil eyes. Like his eyes are just black. Like you look, you're like, this guy, whatever he did that shit. He's guilty. I don't care what he did it. You look into someone's
Mhm.
eyes and you
Yeah.
can just tell that he's got that. But I mean, when I tell you entertainment, this is one of the most entertaining like pieces of media out there. And the last episode is genuinely the most tense I have ever felt watching a documentary. It was like I couldn't believe that it was real. Like I'm like, this is
Mhm.
like watching like a Safdie brothers movie where I'm like super anxious, or like something that's
Mhm.
like, and then I was like, or like watching Succession where I'm like, whoa, this is like really tense. Let me hold on, but it's like, oh shit, this is real. Like this
Mhm.
happened. I don't want to get too much more into it because you gotta watch it. It's on HBO. Not sure what it'll be on over there, but it was an HBO original here. And I'm sure tons of people listening have probably seen this already. Like I said, I'm like
Mhm.
8 years late to this party, but it really is fantastic.
Dude, I'm so sold. If I do a double feature, should I watch the doc first or the movie? What do you recommend?
The doc. I saw the movie some years ago, and I didn't actually like it very much.
Mhm.
But I'm interested in revisiting it now after watching the doc. I think you'll have more interest in seeing the movie after seeing the real life
Okay.
person, maybe.
I'll definitely watch the documentary then. I'll see if it's on like Sky or like Wow over here because it
It
should
should
be
be, yeah.
on HBO. And I'll get back to you
Yeah.
because I'm very much interested right now.
It's super cool. And like we were talking about over in Germany, you got Sundays pretty much on lockdown over
Hmm.
there. I burned through this almost in one day entirely, like the 5 or 6 episodes or whatever. Like I almost burned through the whole thing in one day. I could not stop watching it.
Damn. Okay.
Very, very good, very good. And I saw a few others, but that those are kind of the main three that
The
really I was like,
highlights.
whoa.
Damn. Okay. You got me excited. I need
Yeah,
to
I think
watch
you'll
that.
like it. I think you'll like it.
Hmm.
And for anyone listening, also, I'm desperately looking for something else that is like similar of this kind of vibe. If anyone who's seen the Jinx wants to leave a comment on Spotify or YouTube or DM us or whatever, I would
Hmm.
love some recs on more stuff like the Jinx or true crime stuff like that because it's really, really interesting.
Have you seen the like Aaron Hernandez Netflix doc?
No, I haven't. I know that story so well because it was such a huge thing here, especially in
Mhm.
Florida.
Yep.
But I haven't seen the Netflix doc on it though.
Without having seen the doc you told me about, it could match that vibe because that was one of the
Okay,
best like true crime
really,
miniseries I've seen. Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. So
I'll
that
check it
might,
out. I'm gonna write that down too because I'll forget. But
yeah.
that's on. What do
It's
you
on
say it's
Netflix.
on Netflix? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's I'm not sure what like the title of those documentaries are.
Yeah,
If it's
I could put
Netflix
in
Untold,
Hernandez. I'm sure I can
you
find
just
it. Yeah,
yeah, and then it can come up.
yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah. Well, anyway, what have you watched? It's
Mhm.
been a long, long time.
It's been a long time, and I watched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which
And
last time I told you what my new favorite animated movie is. Well, it changed once again.
immediately changed.
Immediately, I think I watched Puss in Boots on the 27th of May, and just
Uh
four
huh.
days later, I had a new favorite animated movie.
Sheesh. Has it really?
It's
Wait, has it really been this long since we've recorded? Since like the
we
28th or so of May?
I think we recorded on the 29th, like with the 30th, I think, because I
Oh
watched Paper
wow.
Moon on the 29th.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's been I think a little bit more than 2 weeks actually.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Because okay. After you finish yours, I have one more movie that I have to talk about with you because I saw
Go
you
for
watch it
it.
on
Go for it.
Letterbox. No, no, no. We'll do it after. We'll do it after Spider
Okay.
Verse. I want to hear your
Okay.
opinion on it.
I mean, you saw the letterbox rating. We talked about it.
The highest of all time, at least at the
Dude,
time.
it's it's unbelievable how good this movie is. It's truly the Empire Strikes Back of our generation. And that's what like one of the producers or like the directors said that they were trying to make it the Empire Strikes Back of this generation. It truly is. It's so good. The animation is on a different level,
Better than Into the Spider Verse,
a million times better. And I don't know how that's possible.
but they
And it's
did
not
it.
just my favorite animated movie, it's my new favorite comic book movie, like period.
Now, was Into the Spider Verse your favorite comic book movie prior?
No. It was
What
top
was
three. It was
what
Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
really at the number
Yeah.
one spot?
That was my number one spot. I love
Wow,
that
I
movie.
didn't know that.
Yeah, but this one is just, dude. If you, I hope you watch it soon,
I
because
will. I'm trying to go this weekend.
I want to discuss it with you like a
Yeah.
little bit further. Because nothing I can say can do justice what I saw.
Wow. Okay.
It was one of the wildest like cinema experiences I had. I just went out of this film and I had so much joy and energy in me, and I just loved movies and animated movies and just everything. So it's one of those movies that just sends you over the
Man,
moon.
I'm about to text the group chat right now. Got to see that this weekend.
Dude, please, please. It is so freaking good.
I'm super excited because I saw Into the Spider-Verse
Mhm.
since our last episode for the first time ever, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited.
Mhm.
Super excited.
Such a great soundtrack. The animation is perfect. The story, it's so freaking good, man.
Oh
I have
man,
I have no more words for it because it's just too much.
it just
Seriously,
needs to be experienced.
it really does. It really does. You have to
I
experience it for yourself and just see what they cooked, because they cooked something out of this world.
That's dope. I feel like it's something that'll really benefit greatly from seeing it in a theater too.
You have
Because I
to.
yeah, because I only saw Spider-Verse at home, so I'm curious. Which I still have a big screen, like a kind of home theater
Mhm.
thing, but still, I thought I do think that I need to see it in it all its
Yeah.
glory.
And it's the first time that not the first time, but like I'm genuinely debating whether I should go watch it again in the cinema, which I haven't done a lot. Most of the
Hmm.
time I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I don't have to. Sometimes I want to, but it's like I don't have that
Yeah,
much money. But for this one, I'm
yeah,
like genuinely, should I just go again? Because I don't want to like I just want to experience it in the cinema again.
yeah.
Because I feel like I might not be able to again.
What's the last movie that you've gone to see twice in theaters?
Um, Interesting question. I think it was, well, the only times I've actually been twice is when I was invited. I went to see, I think it was Infinity War,
Okay,
but it's because two friends wanted to go, but they couldn't at the same time. So I went to the
separately.
premiere with one friend and then again with another friend.
Uh,
And then before that, it was Avengers, the first one,
okay.
because I was like still in high school.
Hmm.
And I went one time and then I was invited for like a birthday.
Oh,
So I
I
went
see.
again. Yeah.
Okay.
But, like just me, like myself paying for it. I don't think I've ever been
Oh, really?
twice, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta really love a movie to do that, or be really
Mm.
confused by a movie to do that.
Yeah. I wanted to do Dune again. I wanted to see Dune
Oh,
twice,
yeah,
but then again, so many movies came out and I just couldn't because it's a lot of money. And I
yeah,
have to really decide what to watch and what I can't watch. And
exactly.
sometimes it's not always possible to go twice, but for this one, I'm genuinely debating.
Sounds like it
So
might be
yeah,
worth it.
definitely, definitely.
Heck
And
yeah.
then I watched a movie that we talked about a bunch of times that you told me you want me to watch, and I finally watched The Fog.
Oh, hell yes.
John
I saw it
Carpenter.
pop up on the page.
Yep, I finally watched it and I liked it. It's not my favorite Carpenter,
Hmm.
but I really liked the eerie vibes of it.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun
The
and
vibes
just a
were
very cool
immaculate.
concept.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Definitely, the concept was so cool. Like just these like pirates, ghost pirates, zombie pirates, whatever they were.
Hmm.
That was so freaking cool.
It's awesome. That's an awesome movie. I like you
Mm.
said, the vibes. It's anytime it's like a small seaside town. 5 out of 5 stars for me. I don't care what the movie
Definitely,
is,
it's just a perfect setting for anything,
especially
honestly.
horror.
Hmm. And then I watched Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise.
Oh, Days of Thunder.
Yeah, you've seen
Yeah.
that one, right?
Yes, Top Gun with cars.
It's literally that's what I wanted to say. It's Top Gun with race cars.
Yeah,
Still a lot of fun.
Entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, very entertaining. I had my criticisms with it because
Hmm.
I feel it was very fast paced.
Oh yeah.
It didn't give me a lot of time, especially in scenes that I wanted to see more.
Hmm.
It just went fast, but still very entertaining. And then I watched The Flash 2 days ago, but I,
I
I want to rant about it, but at the same time, I don't want to talk about it because I did not like this at all.
well, you got to know the Dino way. You got to always give one positive thing because that's your way. That's what
Mhm.
I love about you. What is one positive thing about the Flash that you can think of? If you can? What is one thing that you're like that was not bad?
I can give you two things.
Okay.
Michael Keaton is great.
Oh, does he play Batman in it?
He's Batman, and they
Okay.
go to a different universe, and he's back. He was great. A lot of
Okay.
joy. And there's one scene in the beginning where he starts running, and you see from his perspective him running from one city to another across the country
Hmm.
with a great, I don't know what the song is, but it's just a great song. And that scene was very cool because this is the first Flash, like standalone Flash movie
Yeah.
that we got. I just wish we would have seen more of that. And also, this just isn't the Flash. Like, this is just a dumb guy who can run fast.
Hmm.
Growing up with the comic books, Flash is one of my favorite superheroes.
Yeah.
I love him to death. He has a very special place in my heart. This just wasn't it. And you can tell that everyone behind it that had some say in it has no clue or love for the Flash, just for Batman and Superman, because this is more of a love letter to Batman and Superman than the Flash, which is just sad and it's frustrating. But
This was directed by the guy who did the It movies.
yeah, Andy Muschietti,
Yeah.
who also was just announced that he's gonna be directing that Batman movie with his
Which
son, not the Matt Reeves one, but
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. What is that version of Batman called?
Raven the Bold,
Yeah,
I
Brave
think.
and the Bold.
No,
Do we know who's starring? No, we have no idea who's gonna
we
play.
don't know yet.
Okay.
But yeah, that's I don't want to get too much into that because I just didn't like it. But there's
Yeah.
one more movie I watched a couple hours
Okay.
ago that I wanted to mention real quick.
Uh
That is Uncle Boonme who can recall his past lives.
yeah, he sure can, that Uncle Boone me.
He does. You've seen this one?
I have seen it, yeah.
What did you think about this
So
very interesting film?
yeah, so to give a bit of context, I saw it right when the COVID lockdown, quarantine, all that happened in like March of 2020.
Hmm.
I was staying with my cousins, and my cousin Megan and I, we would put on a different movie every single night, and we like made like we consider it like our own quarantine film festival sort of thing,
Hmm.
where we'd put on something. So we would just try to find the craziest shit, and we came across somehow Uncle Boonme who can recall his past lives. We're like, this is
Hmm.
looks crazy, and we read the plot line, and we're like, this looks insane. And
Hmm.
then you watch it, and it's almost like watching paint dry for over 2 hours, but it's it's really weird. And I don't know that I really like it very much, but it
Hmm.
was an interesting experience. And since then, we constantly refer back to Uncle Boomy and constantly like joke about it, or refer to it. It's just this thing where it's like, I don't know anybody else on this planet who really knows about this except for
Hmm.
you. And same thing for her to me. So it's like we kind of just had that.
Hmm.
Um, but it's an interesting movie. I don't know that I necessarily like it though. What about you?
I actually liked it because it was one of those movies I've seen every now and then. Some film pages very rarely
Yeah.
mention it or talk about it or post something from it, and always looked very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like just that shot of look those red
Dies.
eyes in the
Yeah.
woods. It looked so intriguing, and I finally checked it out, and I did like it. It's very weird and very slow,
Yeah.
which I liked. I don't really understand the movie. I know like the general themes it's about
Yeah.
You know, when you die, just passing to a different world or like a different life and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. We're not going to talk about the catfish scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just going to leave that out
We'll
because I
forget
have
that.
no clue what the fuck that was, but still very, very cool. And I like folklore. I
Yeah.
like those types of movies, and this was just very interesting and very beautiful shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I
It's
liked it.
it seems like very much like a Dino type of movie, one that's very
Hmm.
like slow, takes its time, is very like calming in like a weird
Yep,
way.
definitely.
So I can totally see that. Uncle Boomy, yeah. That was it's an interesting watch. Where did you find that? Like streaming, or did you have to rent it?
It's on movie.
Oh, nice. Okay. It
Yep.
seems like it
So I
would
got
probably be on there.
I got a movie
Eh,
again to watch First Cow, and then I saw it was on there, been meaning to watch it for a while, and then just pulled the trigger today.
Hell yeah. Well, there is that one movie that I do want to mention that I did
Hmm.
see,
Oh yeah.
that I saw that you logged it. And this movie really kind of affected me in like a heavy way. Like I really loved it and almost changed the way that I want to like make stuff. And
Hmm.
that's the movie Coherence from
Hell yeah.
2013. This movie is fucking dope.
It's incredible. I actually
It's
wanted to put it on our list. I haven't done it yet.
I might put it on. I might put it on mine. It's
There you
so
go.
good. It is so good,
So
and
creative.
it's so creative. It's so good, and the fact that the whole thing is completely improvised is
Hmm.
insane. For a story to be that dense and
Hmm.
that like intricate, but for them to be making like it, who like the dude who made that is unbelievably talented, and it
Hmm.
is criminal that there are motherfuckers out here making movies like Flash, but yet this guy who made Coherence can't make another movie. That's
Hmm.
what's messed up about the film industry.
He is incredible, and seriously, that's a movie you watch, and as soon as it ends, you just want to watch it
Run it
again,
back
and you
immediately.
can because there's so much to it, and it just gets better.
It does, and
Mhm.
there's so many layers. You see different things, and then on top
Mhm.
of that, it's so nice, short, to the point. It's
Mhm.
not lingering on anything. It's just getting right to it. I mean, I think it's under 90 minutes. Like it just gets right to
Mhm.
it, and when I saw that you logged it, I was like, I got to talk to Dino about this movie.
Mhm. We need to
Really,
put it either you or me on the
I'm gonna
list
add it.
because
I'm gonna add it right now while
hell
we
yeah,
speak.
because we can talk about this for a while.
100%. Let's
And
leave
it,
it at that.
yep,
And we can definitely come back and talk about it. Let's see. Let me find a good part of this list to add it. But yeah, how long ago did you see that movie for the first time?
I think like 4 years ago.
Okay,
So
so a
it's
little bit,
been a
a little
while.
while.
It's due for a rewatch because I loved it a lot.
Okay, cool. Well, I am going to go ahead and add this movie in right here, and yep, there we go. It's in there.
Perfect. I'm excited.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, why don't we talk about this week's movie, which is
yes,
First
sir.
Cow? Yep, came out, like I said, in 2019, directed by Kelly Reichardt,
Mm-hmm.
starring John Morgaro, Ryan Lee, and Toby Jones. And just a quick plot summary. If you haven't seen the movie, spoiler warning, we're going to talk full spoilers. I'm going to go into the plot synopsis, which also has spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it and then come back to this episode and listen in and join us in this cool discussion about this movie. So the film takes place in 1820, I think,
Mm-hmm.
North America, and it follows Otis Figowitz, who's nicknamed Cookie, who is a chef traveling with some kind of fur trappers
Mm-hmm.
to a nearby fort. And one night he finds a naked man just running around in the woods and helps him by giving him some food and letting him hide in his tent. And he finds out that his name is King Lu, and he's a Chinese immigrant on the run because he shot a Russian man who killed his best friend. And the next day, Oda sees King Lu run off into the woods, and he doesn't see him again. And then Otis arrives at the fort and just earns some money from his job, and he spends his money on some new boots and a drink at a local bar. And there he's recognized by King Lou, the man he helped in the woods, and he invites him over to his little house on a little plot of land he owns nearby. And the two of them just start becoming friends. And one day, King Lou has a little idea for them to make some money, and a little business idea to sell the oily cakes Otis makes, because he is a chef, he is a baker, he loves baking and cooking, and King Lou loves these little oily cakes he makes.
Mm-hmm.
But in order for them to make the oily cakes better, they decide one night to steal milk from the first cow who arrived at this outpost. But the cow is owned by a very important man, that is Chief Factor, played by Toby Jones, who is a wealthy English trader who lives there. And he later finds out that they've been stealing milk from him, and he sends out people to kill them, to which they have to run away. And that's a plot summary. There isn't really a lot happening in this movie. It's
Mm-hmm.
very simple, very slow, but a very cool movie. And I wanted to ask you, because the first time you watched it, you said something, you liked it a lot, and you feel like it would get better if you watch it again. So I'm curious to hear, did you like it more? Did you like it less?
I I think a part of me liked it about the same or maybe
Hmm.
less.
Okay,
Now,
interesting.
I'm gonna explain that because it's because of the first half of the movie I
Hmm.
really dislike very much. It really takes its time, and I can
Hmm.
appreciate when a movie does that.
Hmm.
Um, but there's just something when it's like a almost 2 minute long shot of just like a boat going by, where it's like
Hmm.
this we can move. It's kind of like that
Hmm.
pie scene in a ghost story that just goes on forever, which I can
Hmm.
appreciate, but then it hits a point where it's like, all right, like we got it. We got what's going on. But the second half of this movie is so good and so interesting that
Hmm.
in a way it's not that it makes me forget the first half, it makes me want to forget about the first half, like forget about how like I disliked it, because the second half really is so good, like
Hmm.
really amazing. And I just wish I think there is a great cut of this movie that's maybe like an hour 35 or an hour
Hmm.
40 that I would love. Um, but I'm not saying like objectively it's too long, or
Hmm.
just for me personally. Some people probably love and wish it was even longer or even slower paced, but just
Hmm.
not for me personally. I think if this was like 90 to like 100 minutes, incredible. But I almost forgot just how demanding that first like 45-ish to like an hour of the movie
Hmm.
really is. So for that reason, kind of the same, but kind of less in a weird way. But I
Hmm.
do this, like I said, second half is fantastic.
Yeah, I definitely understand that criticism, because with these type of movies, when you rewatch them, like at first time watching it, it's kind of different because you are more willing for it to move a bit slower. But once you know what happens,
Yeah.
especially like just thinking back, you know the key moments of this film, and they don't get to it until like the half. So you're like,
Yeah.
when do we get to the good stuff?
Yeah.
But you know me, I like those slow type
Of
of movies, so
course.
I don't really mind. But I
Of
definitely
course.
understand what you mean. Like the movie might have benefited from a little shorter runtime.
Yeah. And like I said, like, because I know for you, I'm like, this is just so its movie. And I'm sure Dino would probably be like, I could do another half an hour of this, honestly.
Dude, I
Um,
love those characters. I love the setting. So
yeah.
they just included half an hour of more cooking and baking.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did because their friendship is really incredible.
Hmm.
But for me, it was like it wasn't until like maybe after 45 minutes or so where I really like was like clicking about their friend. It takes time, but like any good friendship, it does take a little bit of time maybe to
Exactly.
really click in. So I totally get it. This is not some objective criticism like this
Mhm.
movie would be better. It's just my own personal,
For you, for sure.
opinion. Yeah.
And like you said, their friendship is just so, it's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
sweet. And I like the quote in the beginning of the film. I don't quite
Remind,
remember.
yeah, I don't really quite remember it either, but remind me
It was
what
something some oh, let me look it up. It was like man makes friendships. Like was the last line of that quote. Let me find the full quote. I should have
here it is.
prepared
The
for
bird a
going.
nest, the spider a web, man friendship.
Man, friendship. Exactly. I just really like that quote and it
That's a great
encapsulates this
quote.
film perfectly because it's about this friendship between these two men.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
actually is a really good quote. And I typically don't really love when movies um open with quotes. Like there's a
Mhm.
part of like I don't know why, but there's just something like, well, I hate when you like kind of tell me like what I'm going to get or like what your movie is about. Like
Mhm.
I would rather you just sort of let me get the movie. Let me sort of
Mhm.
understand the movie myself. But that really
Mhm.
is a great quote, and I completely sort of forgot it.
Mhm. It just like this movie really is about this friendship between these two people that are different in what they want,
Hmm.
but they find a way to do what they want together. And that's very sweet.
And I think it's a sign of like any good friendship where
Mhm.
when you go your separate ways, no matter how many times they went their separate ways, they could not help but
Yep.
somehow come back together.
Yeah.
Um,
Because when
and
they
that's like
first
with any
meet,
great friendship or relationship. Yeah.
mhm, when they first meet, they get like he
Yeah.
runs off back into the woods, then they meet again.
Hmm.
That's where the friendship starts. And when they are on the run, they get separated again, but fine to each other
Yep.
because he comes looking for him. Like, they both come looking for each other. So,
Yeah. And I will say, and now that I'm talking about it more, I'm starting to kind of
mhm,
remember more things. But the opening of this film and the ending of this film was the only thing that I actually really remembered of
mhm,
like coming into it because I haven't seen this movie. I think I saw it in 2020. Like it was actually released here in like 2020. I
mhm,
think got pushed back because of COVID, but I remembered that because it was just it's a very like vivid thing to remember. Those like skulls, like the
mhm,
bones, all that, and then at the end, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, that's them. Like those are the
mhm.
guys. But it kind of hit me a little bit differently this time, just seeing that, and and it kind of hits me differently now after re-remembering the quote that you
Mhm.
said that you just that or that we read out, and
Mhm.
it's like, oh wow, that really hammers in like they really like they died together, like
Yep.
it's really kind of a beautiful thing, you know.
Mhm. But what were some of your favorite scenes? Do you have any?
Yeah, I love like the way that the opening matches the ending and like
Mhm.
with like that quote. Like now it's kind of has like opened it up in a new way. I'm like,
Mhm.
I typically hate quotes in movies, but that actually really like
Yep.
just fit perfectly. But I do love just the whole, and it's not really one scene in particular, but the whole sequence when Toby Jones, I forget what is it's Factor, is that his name?
Chief Factor.
Yeah, Chief Factor, when he invites him over to his house so he can make like the blueberry whatever, like that
Mhm.
pie thing.
Yep.
Um, and there it gets really tense. Like it becomes a very
Mhm.
tense, like anxiety inducing thing because he knows something that he doesn't know
Yep.
and he's constantly afraid. And then when they go out to see the cow, and the cow starts to like
Mhm.
it remembers Cookie, and like
Yep.
it's like nuts. Like I was like, oh, God, and they're looking like that whole sequence. I'm like, wow, this movie really does kind of have it all because it has like some
Mhm.
comedy in it. It has just like the good old sort of like drama, you know. But then it has some like really like tense moments like this where I'm like kind of on the edge of my seat, almost in like a Hitchcock sort of way, holding on to like, my my
Mhm.
armrests. And
Mhm.
so yeah, not particularly a scene, but that whole sequence when they start to be like, he's gonna get it. That kind of 10
Yep.
minute section, I think, is really, really good. And that's what hammers in for me.
Mhm.
That the back half is not just good, but like fantastic. The second
Yep.
half of this movie.
Definitely, because it's such a great contrast from like the first half.
Hmm.
And I think that's why I like the first half so much because it moves slow and there isn't. I mean, there is that one like fur hunter, whatever, like who
Yeah.
tells him he's going to beat him up,
Hmm.
and then you have that little tension, but it really and there's also that fight, the guy who
Yeah.
gives him the baby,
Yeah.
but it's sort of like more calm, and then you really get like, oh, like when is he going to figure out that they've been stealing from him?
Yeah.
He noticed his cow is producing way less milk, and
Yeah. And like
like
he even says, he's like, there will come a point where he will taste his own cow's milk. Like
mhm.
he has to.
Yeah, he has a great palate. He's gonna
Yeah.
notice at some point.
Which made me think the blueberry pie, I'm just gonna call it a pie. I know it had more of a French name, but I just can't
Yeah, I
recall.
don't know either.
But like that blueberry pie and then the oily cakes, which essentially are kind of like biscuits, I think.
Mhm.
Um, d- can they be made without milk? Like, didn't he know that he's the only one with a cow, or could those be done without using milk?
I think because if it's been a couple of days since I saw the movie, but I think he
Mhm.
makes them at first, but without the milk,
And it
and
doesn't
then he's
taste
like,
as good.
oh, this could be better if I had some honey and milk.
Right, 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 right. Okay,
I
okay.
think, but I might be wrong. But I think he
No,
makes it.
you
You can make it without milk. It's to him,
okay?
it
You
just
are
doesn't taste as well.
okay. No, you are right because I do remember like that. But I guess I was just wondering. I was like, maybe the guy thought that, oh, this guy's just really good at making it without milk, maybe or
Mhm.
something like that.
Could
Um,
have been. I mean, I think he even asks, like, what do you put in these?
yeah,
Doesn't he?
I
And
don't
like,
really remember.
yeah.
And I just saw this last night, but my memory is terrible,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to dialogue. I don't ever catch
Mhm.
dialogue ever.
Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. But the scene you mentioned, I liked as well, especially because of how sweet he is with the cow. Like, he always talks to her.
Yep. He's
And
like,
then when she like,
your milk was really good today, or your
yeah.
milk was they loved the cookies or
Mhm.
whatever.
And I also love that scene of just them lining up to try it. And there's this one guy
Hmm.
who who wants one, but he doesn't get the last one because some guy just cuts in
Cut
line and
him
just
right.
pays more money. And
Yeah.
he's the guy who later doesn't he
The end.
shoot him, or like he's one of the guys who hunts
He's one of the
them.
hunters. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he's the. I don't know if he actually fires or not at him, but he is like one of the people who's like hunting them at the end.
yeah. He
And
gets
it's
his revenge for not getting his early cake.
yeah, and another thing about this that it really is layered because you can look at it as just straight up just a movie about like friendship or whatever, which is
Mhm.
probably maybe at like on the like the blanketed sort of thing, considering it
Mhm.
opens with a quote about friendship. But like it really is just sort of about like sort of the American dream, like working in like a capitalist sort of thing, which
Mhm.
hate it or love it, whatever. People are pretty divided on that, um, but it's nonetheless it's something that we all experience.
Mhm.
And I think that it's because of that. I mean, I'm sure you could relate anywhere, but because I'm looking like this is a very like American movie. Like it is
Mhm.
very much like American, like at its heart of what we do. Like we've literally almost 200 years since when the movie
Mhm.
takes place, 1820. And it's like we are
Yeah.
still doing the same exact shit, the exact
Mhm.
same stuff, just with different
Exactly.
things. And we
And
have more
people
technology.
people come from other countries
Exactly.
to America to
To
like live
find that
here
opportunity.
to make it, which is
Yeah.
literally what happens in this film.
Yeah. It's that's it, this is yeah, a very American movie. And I really like that a lot. Did you get like a sense of that, like being like someone who's outside from
One
America? Like, did you kind of catch that and like see that?
1000%.
Yeah.
It's definitely like one of the main themes. And King Lou, the character, he's like the embodiment of
Hmm.
just someone who wants to
An
open his own
immigrant.
business, who wants to become independent. And like he has
Hmm.
always these ideas with the beaver fur, I think, or what was it,
The beaver
beaver?
fur. Yeah. Beaver.
Yeah, yeah. Like that will make a lot of money back in China because it's some medicine or something.
Yeah.
And he always
Yeah.
finds these ideas. And then when he comes across Otis and his amazing baking skills, it just clicks for him. And
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, really awesome movie. And I think I really identify like both of my parents being immigrants themselves. Too,
mhm,
it's like maybe even more so. I'm like, oh, this is really heartfelt for someone who comes over with nothing, no real education, nothing, and
yep,
is able to sort of grind their way through the American sort of
Mhm.
system.
Yeah. And I mean, Otis also like he wants to open a hotel or bakery or both.
Bakery, right? Yeah,
Yeah. In San Francisco. I think he
in
wants
San
like
Francisco.
a hotel with a bakery or something like
That
that.
what it
He
was?
mentioned.
Yeah. Because that
Yeah.
was the whole thing. Every time he's like, we got to get out. Like
Hmm.
Lou keeps saying, like, we don't have the money to get to San
Yeah.
Francisco. Like we just don't.
Hmm.
Um,
So
which
they
that's
keep
another
grinding.
thing. Yeah, it just adds to like the tension too when
Hmm.
they're gonna keep like after they go to the to the factor's home
Hmm.
and the cow like nuzzles up to him and he's like we should probably stop. And then that's when Lou's like, no, we got to do one more. Like we got to
Hmm.
go back out there tonight.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what kind of sets, kind of fucks him up.
Their
And that
downfall.
right there is a very black and white sort of look at even in this system. Like even if you get greedy in it, you will be punished for it. Like you can
Hmm.
work super hard, but you cannot be greedy. Um,
Think
yeah.
watching this movie because I watched it with my girlfriend, which you also did.
Yes.
Every time, I mean, I've only seen it twice, but every time when I watch a movie, I think, what could I do to avoid certain situations? So I just thought,
Like as the character's
as a
perspective. Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
because when the chief comes to him and tells him, like, can you make this for me? I'm just like, in my head, I was like, why don't you just say, I could make it, but I need some milk. Can I borrow some milk from you?
Mm-hmm.
And then he makes it from him and it's like, hey, I can make these oily cakes even better if I can get some milk from you. And then in return, you get like a couple every single day. You
Yeah.
could have avoided this. And I'm like,
That
why
is
didn't you?
true. That is
Yeah,
true.
I told my girlfriend, like, why doesn't he just like, I'm sure like the movie wouldn't be interesting, of course, but
Yeah.
I just wish he would have done it because he would have survived. But yeah,
I wonder if there was a reason why. Was it because he was, huh? Yeah, that's a very good point. I was trying to think if there was like a counter, like maybe he couldn't. But yeah, that's a great point. He totally should have been like, "Hey, this will taste even better with milk. I know you got that cow. Can I get some?"
and
Yeah.
then you could get some milk, but yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Huh. But hey, wouldn't have been as exciting. Would have been an even
Mhm.
more boring second half if he would have asked for
That's
permission.
true.
So,
That's why I shouldn't have made that movie because to me, I would have just made a happy ending, which he would have
yeah.
gotten his hotel bakery in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you so you have seen this before, right?
Yeah,
One time.
this was my second time watching it. I've seen
Did
when
you
it first came out. Did it get a
okay.
theatrical release over there?
Because of COVID, no. I like think
Okay.
because I was reading about it like some more and I do remember the only reason I saw it is because I was like trying to go through like all the new 2020 stuff, but like it didn't come out in theaters at all because all theaters were closed.
Mhm.
But I think it had its premiere in 2019, like at like Telluride or whatever festival
Festivals.
it premiered at. I think it was just the festivals in 2019, but I don't know if it had a formal theater release at all.
Mhm. Because over here, because of COVID or like in general, it came out exclusively on Mubi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was the same over there. Maybe it was just for Europe.
Maybe I don't remember how I saw it the first time. It could have been on like Prime or something, maybe even. But this time around, I rented it.
Yeah.
Although I noticed after the fact it was on Peacock, which is like the
Mhm.
NBC thing for us.
Mhm.
Um, so that's interesting. But maybe it's on movie as well. It could be like currently, at least.
Mhm. Yeah. But if we do the same that we've done for other movies, like when we started the last time,
Uh-huh.
if you would have to pick favorite movies for both main characters, is there something that
Mm,
comes to mind?
okay.
We don't have to do four, but maybe there's movies you think they would like.
Um.
I have one for each.
So okay. Let me
Mhm.
hear yours first. Well, let me think
Okay.
about this.
So I Otis' favorite movie would definitely be Grand Budapest Hotel.
That's a good one. That's a really
He,
good one.
you have the hotel that he wants, you have bakery,
But yeah.
both Wes Anderson style. It's very sweet, very innocent, just fits
Mm,
him perfectly.
mm-hmm.
And for King Lou, I mean, if he were living today, he would definitely be one of those crypto bros. So he would be
Yeah,
like one of those sell me this pen. So I think The Wolf of Wall Street would be his favorite movie.
I think that's a really good one too. I think that's a good
Hmm.
option for Lou.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of for Cookie like what like the first thing that's coming up is like the first thing I thought of was that movie Chef that John
Hmm.
Favreau did.
John Favreau, yeah.
Where they like he like does like the food truck or whatever and travels all around.
I think they
Um
would watch that movie together and like it.
yes, I think so too.
Hmm.
Because there's sort of the business of it and the actual cookingness of it.
Hmm.
And then for Lou, I feel like see, as I'm trying to think of other good, like Wolf of Wall Street really might be like the best one,
Yeah.
or like I'll say like Wall Street, like the movie Wall Street with
Hmm.
Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen.
Definitely.
Is that Michael Douglas? Yeah, Michael Douglas. I would probably say
Hmm.
Wall Street. Yeah, I think
Okay.
he would probably be like a Wall Street kind of bro, like you said, like a crypto kind of dude. Yeah,
Hmm.
for
Definitely.
sure. I gotta think. I
Mhm.
want to think because I really started like doing like a two and two, like doing the four total.
Should we do the four?
For
Let's
the
do the
letterbox.
four.
If you can think of another two, because immediately when you brought up Uncle Boom Me, I kind of feel like Cookie might like that, being just a very slow moving, calm, meditative sort of thing. I could
Hmm.
see Cookie kind of liking Uncle Boom Me in a weird way.
Okay. Then that's his third one.
Yes.
One more. I feel like another cooking movie would be great. I think Ratatouille. I think he
Oh,
would love
Rabbit,
Ratatouille.
duh. Of course,
I don't
duh.
even have to look up cooking movies. He would love Ratatouille. It's very like innocent and about cooking. That would be
Yes,
his.
100%. And then two more
Okay.
for old Crypto Lou.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
What was the first one? Oh, Wolf of Wall Street. Okay, Wolf of
Wall
Wall
Street. Wall
Street
Street.
and Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Anything else like that? I'm trying to think. Uh, you know what? He would fuck with Succession. I think he would like
Oh.
Succession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would
Yes,
say he would
let's just
not
include
a
that
not a
still.
movie, and I don't think it's on Letterboxd, but I think he would love Succession.
Mm-hmm. Then we need one more. Be another one. Maybe the McDonald's origin, so called The Founder
Oh, The
with Michael
Founder.
Keaton.
Oh,
That might be
that's a
one.
that is a good one. I just thought of a better one that I can take
Hmm.
out one of mine. I'll take out Succession since it's not a movie.
Okay.
This movie, which I think you'll very much enjoy. You got to check this movie out. Called it's a Sam Peckinpah movie called The Ballad of Cable Hogue, and
Hmm.
I I I completely forgot about this movie, but it's kind of and when I was looking back at my old review of First Cow, I saw that I had mentioned that movie with this, and I was like, oh my god, this is kind of like that thing. And Ballad of Cable Hogue is Jason Robards. He's like abandoned, like in the middle of like the desert, like out somewhere in the west,
Hmm.
um, like just stranded. But then he finds like a small supply of water, like in this like weird like ditch.
Hmm.
And what he does is he creates a business there where he offers water to everyone who's passing through, like all the other like stage coaches and stuff.
Hmm.
And he like makes new friends and all these people, and he literally creates like this whole business out of this little water like puddle that he found because he
Damn.
digs and he finds more water. So
Hmm.
yeah, 100% Ballad of Cable Hogue 100% has to be in Lou's for sure in his top four.
Add it to the list. I'm gonna check
Yeah,
it out. And I need to
completely
watch
forgot
more
about that.
Sam Peckinpah.
Yes, you do. Post Alfredo Garcia.
Hmm.
This is a movie that is like complete 180 different from Alfredo Garcia. This might
Okay.
be the most calming movie, maybe the most Dino Peckinpah movie that there is.
Hell yeah.
I think you would like it a lot. It's very now that I think about it more, it's Reichardt had to have seen Ballad of Cable Hogue
Mhm.
before making this. Like it almost seems too obvious now that I'm thinking about it more.
Mhm. Maybe it was one of the inspiration.
I feel like it had to be. It had
Okay.
now that I really think about it more, it had to be.
Mhm. I'll check it out and we'll talk about it in a
Mm-hmm.
future episode.
We will. We'll have to for sure. Maybe it'll get added to another list or so. So I would love to
Hmm.
rewatch that. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, I'm loving the Letterbox top four though. I
It's a
and
great addition.
it's a great addition to the show, and I completely forgot about it until I started logging in, like to for the episode. I was like, oh shit, yeah, I gotta write
Mhm.
something down.
And it makes us like think of more movies.
Yeah,
Like you said, you wouldn't have thought of that movie if it wasn't for this, and then here's another
yeah,
recommendation. So
100%.
perfect.
It's all about the
Mm.
movies here at Literally Me.
Hell yeah. And if someone like likes a character from a movie, and then we basically give four recs for that person.
Yeah, essentially,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm. And there's another thing we do, which you won't forget about.
Hmm.
From a scale from 1 to 10 oily cakes, how
Okay.
much is Otis literally you?
Otis, it's funny because a part of me, I feel if I combined the two of them together, I
Hmm.
think it would almost be like nine oily cakes. Like I think if you
Okay.
put them together, I think they're pretty
Mhm.
close to Literally Me.
Okay.
Because there is like that craftsmanship that I really like to be hands on, and I care about things very deeply, especially the things that I am passionate about.
Hmm.
So there is that part about cookie for sure, but then also like I'm all about the bread. We live in America. I'm
Hmm.
chasing that bag, as they say.
Yeah.
So I very much can relate with Lou as well. Like I very
Mhm.
much feel like a good mishmash of both of them.
If you had to pick one that you are a little bit more, which one would it be? Because I think for me as well, like I think I'm a mix of both, but a little bit
Yeah,
more Otis. Are you a bit more King Lou or a bit more Otis?
it could be a little bit more Lou because Cookie is a little too not too, but he's more wholesome than I am, I would say.
Hmm.
Like I look, I'm like, I wish I was more like him. But
Hmm.
Lou, I can almost look at him and be like, yeah, we're pretty close.
Hmm.
We're pretty close. But so maybe Lou. I think that's why this pod works so well. You're a little bit more Cookie, I'm a little bit more
Hmm.
Lou, and that's why how we have this perfect marriage.
That's what I wanted to say. And there's
Yeah.
one, because you said the wholesomeness, I thought of one more scene that I forgot to mention. I wanted to. When he gets invited to his house at first, he just doesn't really know what to do because Lou is like
Oh, yes.
hacking wood and he just starts cleaning the floor.
Sweeping.
And then he goes out and just picks out a bunch of flowers and just puts them in his house to make it a bit more
Yes.
cozy, a bit more pretty. And that was so wholesome. I love that moment.
I love that you mentioned that because when I was watching this last night with my girlfriend, which I hope she's not like spying and listening to me on the other side of the door right now, but
Hmm.
there was that point because that happens maybe 25-ish, maybe 30 minutes into the movie,
Hmm.
and both of us equally were just like bored to tears. I'm just being like for that first little
Hmm.
bit, and she was the first one where it literally in that scene she's like, "Whoa, wait a minute, hold on, I like love that, like I love
Yep.
that." And
Dude, the
like that
same
that
thing
was this
happened
yeah,
with my girlfriend. She saw it and was like, oh, that's so cute. I love this.
yes, and it was that moment that like switched that 180, like, oh wait, no, this I kind of like this.
Hmm.
So I
Did
love
she
that you brought that part up.
did she like the movie overall? I'm curious.
Overall, overall, yes, yeah,
Okay.
because like for the second half especially, it really like it really picked up
Hmm.
um in that way. But yeah, again, the first little bit was tough for
Yep.
both of us equally.
Hmm.
But she actually got pulled into it a little bit sooner than I did again
Hmm. Because of that
into the
moment.
film because of that scene in particular.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a great scene. It just encapsulates his character just perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
100%. He goes out, he gets the flowers, he puts like the
Yeah.
little flowers in the vase.
Mhm. As for me, no, you
Yeah.
didn't.
When it's
How many oily cakes do you give Otis? You didn't give them individually.
okay. So individually, Cookie probably like maybe like a seven, like
Hmm.
Otis. Um, and then probably like an eight for Lou.
Okay.
Maybe just a tad bit more.
Mhm. For me, it's literally the other way around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give Cookie 8 and King Lou 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think because they complement each other very, very well. And neither of them
They-
are really bad people. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like it's not like, Moe's in Paper Moon, where it's like, okay, this shady little
Mhm.
hustler. Whereas Lou is a little bit more of he still does some shady things, like when
Yeah.
like the skinny guy who gets all knocked over, who was waiting in line, and he's like, I don't give a shit, this guy will give me more money, and just hands it off.
Mhm.
Whereas like if it was Cookie who was handling that, he probably would have helped the guy up and been
Yep.
like, no, 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 he was waiting, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But those oily cakes look delicious. I would want
They look
to.
so good.
With
Really
the
good.
honey on
Especially when
top.
they added the honey. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the
I
honey
need that.
looks great.
I
Same,
need that.
same. But yeah, why don't we go ahead and pick out next week's movie,
Let's do
which
it.
I'm really excited about.
Let's do it. So for
I'm gonna
those
pull up the list. Yeah,
yep, you pull up the
explain.
list. I'll pull up the numbers. And for those who are new, or if you have short-term memory loss and you've been listening for a while, every week Dino and I bring a list of movies, 20 movies each, and we spin a random number generator to determine which of those 20 movies will be next week's. And since Dino picked First Cow, this next week will be mine. So, Dino, let me know when you have that list up, and I'll go ahead and give this thing a spin.
It's ready. You can spin the wheel.
All right, let's do it. Give me number 6.
Number 6, The Celebration, 1998.
Oh, okay. This is a movie I have not seen yet.
Oh,
I have
you
not
actually
seen it. I
you
added
added.
one. I added one that I hadn't seen, and that is the
Hell
one.
yeah. I haven't seen it either. Came out the year I was born.
Yes, sir.
The
It is.
Celebration.
I think for those who are familiar with like the Dogma '95 movement that Von Trier and Vinterberg started, this is the
Mhm.
first Dogma movie by Thomas Vinterberg, and the reason I put it on is because I've heard so many great things about it, but it's also
Mhm.
a pretty big influence on Succession and kind of the familial drama and the battle against kind of the patriarchy, that sort of thing. So I'm
Mhm.
really interested in watching it, and I started it actually coincidentally like a couple weeks ago. And I started it,
Because of
and then I was
Succession.
because of Succession, I was like, let me put it on, and then after like 5 minutes, like something came up where I was like, oh shit, I have to go take care of this, and
Mhm.
then I just didn't get back to it. I got into like the documentaries and stuff, and I just kind of forgot about it. So but this will be a first time watch for both.
Mhm.
This is a first for the pod, a
Yeah,
movie that neither of us have seen yet.
we've done movies that only one of us has seen.
Mm-hmm.
Both. We've done movies that we both have seen, but never
Mm-hmm.
one neither of us have seen. So
That is super exciting. Yeah,
mhm.
wow. I'm really, really excited to check this movie out.
Mhm. And it's great timing as well because Succession ended 2 weeks ago. You watched it. We
Yeah.
talked about it last
Yes.
episode, this episode. Hell yeah. And I
Like I said,
might watch the first couple episodes Succession before that. So
there we go.
we
There we
might have
go.
a Succession celebration centric
Yeah.
episode.
It's like we've said before, this is the most coincidence based like podcast of all time,
Mhm.
arguably. If we mention something, something will come up the
Yeah.
following week that will be connected somehow.
We need to market that
Yeah, we really
somehow.
should. We'll
Mhm.
figure out a way. Um, so yes, folks, next week's movie will be The Celebration from 1998, from Thomas Vinterberg. For those of you who are fans of, um, God, what was that movie with Mads
Another
Mikkelsen?
round,
Another Round, The Hunt,
the hunt. Mhm.
movies like that. This is Thomas Vinterberg's first. I don't know if it's his first movie in general, but it's the first movie of that Dogma '95
Mhm.
movement that him and Von Trier. Who we mentioned Von Trier last week as well. Him, that crazy motherfucker. But
Yep.
yeah, we I'm really excited to check this one out. I don't know where. I know it's on the Criterion channel over here, but I'm sure it's probably available in most other places to find.
Mhm. It's on Amazon, Apple TV, so
Okay, cool. So
I'm
you
gonna
can be
find it.
rented at least.
Yeah.
Okay,
Damn.
awesome.
I'm excited for this because I've never
Me
even
too.
heard about it.
Oh, really? Are you familiar with like the Dogma '95 movement that they started?
That's what I wanted to ask you next. Like, what is that? I have no clue.
Oh, it's definitely worth checking it out because they literally set up like a manifesto, a list of like 10 to 15 like rules that they have to abide by.
Hmm.
It's like there it can't be like a genre film. There can't be any kind of like special effects, guns, murder, killing, nothing like that. I
Hmm.
think everything has to be handheld, the camera. I think it has to be all available lights, like in the location. Like it's not setting it up in any crazy way. It's like we are in this room, whatever. And there's like
Hmm.
a bunch of other like little rules, but I think the whole purpose is to emphasize story and characters above anything else that can distract from a film.
Hmm.
Um, so it's supposed to be the very rawest thing. And this is the first movie that was made between the two of them, like as like a dogma thing.
Hmm.
Um, and some other people have attempted, like in the States, like I know Harmony Korine, who did Gummo and movies like that. He made a dogma movie, Julian
Hmm.
Donkey Boy, with Chloe Sevigny. But yeah, that's kind of definitely look it up. Definitely look up, and I'm
Hmm.
sure next week we'll talk about all the rules of it.
For sure. For sure.
But yeah, I'm super excited to check this out. It's meant to be.
Same. And well, this was this week's episode. A great episode.
Great up.
Another fantastic episode, and we'll see each other next week.
That's right.
So
Thanks for listening, guys.
thank you for listening, and until then, bye bye.
Bye bye.